Hi, everyone. Today we are recording a short video because we wanted to talk about the movie we both seen, and I think it has a lot to say, even though there is no dialogue or conversation in the whole movie. We are talking about Flow, the animated movie which came out not long ago. And I think it's a beautiful film with no words, yet so much to say. I think it's a movie that reflects on solitude, survival, connection, and what really matters when everything else is stripped away. And I think it's also an accurate topic right now, because if we are looking around the world at the moment, nothing is certain. And that's also a reason why at least I wanted to bring this up and talk about it, how some huge event like this, which changes everything, shapes people, and in this case, animals. And sometimes it's not the people we start the journey with, but the ones we meet in the storm who become our family. So what do you think, Vicky? What was this movie about for you?
For me, it was a very interesting journey because first time I watched it, I don't think I was mentally actually there to receive it. Maybe because it was in a public cinema and I couldn't fully receive it, but then I had to rewatch it so I can talk about it with depth. And I had to realize that it is actually, in my opinion, one character and its parts that is trying to find itself and build up a one whole accepted character. And ChatGPT actually helped me to point out what I was trying to explain to it is that this is supposed to be the individualism, which is a lifelong process of trying to build yourself parts together in a healthy way until you become a whole self. And I didn't recognize this the first time. For some reason, I was looking at each character as a separate element, and it just didn't really make sense to me. And I feel like it's a whole journey of a lost soul that is trying to find itself.
Yeah, that's a beautiful interpretation, I think. For me, it's a little bit difficult to put everything in short words, but I would say that what I've observed or noticed that we have a cat as a protagonist. And the cat begins alone in a world destroyed by water, and slowly he or she meets other animals. In the beginning, she even meets animals who are her natural enemies. And this situation, the flood, is eventually bringing them together. And it completely changes the perspective of how they see each other. It's not the prey and the hunter anymore, but two individuals who has to work together basically to survive. And a lot of animals are getting together on a boat eventually. At first it's uncomfortable, but over time they learn how to coexist and protect each other. And I've seen that each of them had a role, basically. First, they didn't really find their roles. They didn't really know, and they just tried to stick to their old habits and what they were used to when the world was normal. But as it had no meaning anymore and it didn't work like that anymore, they started to put up different roles. And for some reason, for me, that's how life works, basically. That you don't really know what the next day will bring. You don't really know who you are going to meet. And then you don't even know who you are going to be in a certain situation, in a different world from what you've known and what you didn't have to experience before. And it needs some different qualities and parts from you to be brought up.
Yeah, I really love that.
Yeah. So think about friendships, for example, that started in tough workplaces, support groups, or shared struggles. How those things bring people together eventually.
Yeah.
Actually, how did we meet?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because
Yeah.
that also came to my mind. If I was not struggling, or we were not struggling for the same reason, we would have never met and we wouldn't be here today
We
to
wouldn't
discuss
end up in the
anything.
same boat.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And I think also that each of them had separate roles, which they grew into. And at the end, it turned out, because more animals joined to them, the rest of the dog pack, if I can say it like that, who the dog was a family with in the beginning and was hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
And after all that happened, they didn't quite match anymore. Because if you remember at the end, the other dogs, when the world went back to the same thing, they just exactly went back how they were.
Yeah.
And even though the group would have needed help, they just left and did their own thing.
Yeah. It's like through trauma, like different creatures get together and they appreciate each other's companies more than what they had before.
Yeah. Yeah. Because struggle really brings people together.
Yeah.
And also brings different things out from one's character. Because the cat started so shy in the beginning, was scared of everything. And at the end, she was the one who wanted to take initiative and save the animals who got into trouble.
Yeah. And what do you think the whale was?
That's also an interesting thing. I would say that the whale represented somebody who who's not part of your life, who doesn't know you, but under some kind of circumstances, they can be helpful to you without wanting anything back in return, basically.
Yeah.
Because they know that environment, which is, for example, foreign to you. And that's it for me. That was it for you.
Are you happy if I start to share my thoughts about how I saw the whole thing?
Sure.
And well, the way I saw the whole story eventually was that the cat represents a immature, potentially avoidant creature, which is not just definitely in a sense of avoidant attachment style, but people who avoid their responsibilities to face their fears and so on. And they are not yet familiar with their own deep self. And something happens, we don't really know what happens, that causes an internal turmoil that is appearing as a huge flood, a huge water flow coming in. And you can see that in the beginning, everything is familiar within a short range of the house. Everything is shaped to the cat, which is nowadays we kind of have a theory about that cats. They see humans as large cats. Probably this is what they reflect back, that is familiar to them. So it looks like a cat. Then it didn't dare to go further than that cat-shaped mountain, and the flood caught up with the cat. And it was kind of forced into join this boat where there was the capybara. And we all know capybaras are the most peaceful creatures on this planet. Nothing can bother them. And I believe that was the cat's peaceful side, this creature's peaceful side, that it didn't really want to acknowledge really that it exists, because everything is scary. How can you exist that you're peaceful something? How can you not care about anything? And the cat was always running away from everything, every scary thing. First a flood, and then every time a new animal joined the boat, it would go up on that pole or hide somewhere, try to dismiss other creatures. And then they kept going. And there were different kind of events where it got distracted. It was deeply overwhelmed by the beauty of things that's happening to it. And it would meet the lemur, which in my opinion is representing the part of an avoidance for a person who is not really sure about themselves, who craves validation and acceptance. Because it wanted to fit in with the other lemurs. It would collect all the little trinkets to show and prove that it's worthy of the attention of the other group, the huge group, and want to fit in. And the desire of people want to fit in and find their own group. And of course, it didn't work because it's not a healthy dynamic. The white bird, I think, was a representation of control, or the illusion of it, which is the fearful cat is trying to have, because they kind of got attached. The cat got attached sooner with the bird than with the other animals. The golden retriever, I thought about.
Yeah, the dog.
So I think the golden retriever represents loyalty and being friendly towards others. And it was originally part of another pack because it's easily befriend other creatures. And it doesn't really care about anything. It just wants to enjoy life and be friendly and connect with whoever it can. And the cat just couldn't relate to it. So that was one of the longest that took for the cat, I think, to accept, because it's very like the opposite of it, instead of like running away from everything. And the curiosity of the dog keep pushing it. Eventually they connected. And the bird, the control, somehow the cat could feel relating to it because it protected it. Control protected the unknown chaos that this whole storm and the water represented, and the depths of the water, the unknown, that this bird also saved from, because I don't know if they were going to try and eat the cat, the other birds, or what was going to happen. But
that's what I thought, yeah.
But this bird eventually managed to row the boat. So it knew how to take control even in chaos. And as soon as they wanted to help all the other dogs, because the golden retriever and all the other ones, they kind of wanted to help because they all have that intention. The lemur, who wants to be accepted as well, wants to help somewhere. And as soon as control let go of the boat, chaos happened. Peace started to row the boat, or I don't know what it's called. And immediately there were all kinds of accidents happening, and the storm appeared again. The waters got very scary. And that's when, after this bird, I wish I knew the exact name of the bird.
I don't think it matters that much. What matters in this context is what it represents. Because for me, the bird was different from its group. You can feel that it doesn't belong fully. It helps the cat, and you get the sense this act has consequences. Yeah. So it's no longer accepted in its original group. Still, it stays, guides, leads. And once the group is safe, it leaves, basically. Doesn't demand anything in return. It just disappears, almost like a soul who fulfilled their purpose. So for me, it meant like some people appear in our lives to help us at a specific moment, and then they vanish. And that doesn't make their role smaller. Actually, it's quite a big role. Yeah. We just don't maybe notice even or acknowledge it that much, but it makes it sacred.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love that view. It's those sometimes when an old person or some stranger bumps into you on the street and then they just tell you one word or one sentence. Like, I would hear stories that would change a person's life. That's kind of the whale as well as the large bird situation, that they pass through your life and then they leave the mark and they help you in certain things that you needed the help with. The part where the bird departed, I understood as, do you remember the scene when it was flowing up? And at the first I was thinking, now, did it die or what? And then why did it die? What happened? And the cat also was flowing. And now when I rewatched it, I kind of felt like it also started to float because control, or the illusion of it, was part of the cat, but it let it go. So it got grounded again. So it let go of the need to over control situations, and it probably became more comfortable with not having to control its life in the chaos, because life is what it is and you just have to go with it, and not wanting to fix everything all the time and have this character for it to fix it. And then it noticed that the boat was gone again. So, and it decided to try and go and find back its own little friends or parts of it, because it could feel that now it's needed, it's missing. And it would face the waves and everything, swim the little cat in the deep ocean, just to try and catch up with the boat and find its own family or soul or whatever it was. And I think the whale, I forgot about the whale, was representing change that is scary, but at the same beautiful. Because in the end, when all of the water has vanished, because this cat finally faced its own fears, and it vanished into acceptance and normal, like healthy life. And it was just seeking for its own parts in the world again to recollect itself. And the water no longer provided the place for the fear that is actually a beautiful change, because it has such a beautiful eye. It would show the soul of that creature, whale, something, animal. And it was a very interesting scene as well, where the dog pack was the first to leave the boat when they were hanging, because they are like some kind of outsider chaos, in my opinion. And they are like, they don't belong to this character at all. It's just some other parts, like, yeah, because it came with the loyalty. It's like belonging friends that are not loyal to you. Yes, you share.
Yeah, it just came the thought that they basically were rescued by them. They were not grateful at all. They didn't take the part in anything. They just took everything, and then the end they completely left when help was needed. And we meet so many people like that in our lives.
Shallow
so for
connections,
me, for me, they represented especially that. And to add to the cat, because I'm not sure I was talking about it that much. For me, the transformation was beautiful, because it starts emotionally closed, fearful, territorial, and over time it becomes nurturing, selfless, and even risking comfort for the group. So the transformation and breakdown is from control to surrender, from isolation to connection, and from defense to trust.
Yeah, I think that's totally the journey that was happening. And I also related the same way to the pack of the dogs, that they kind of felt like those shallow connections, because loyalty can sometimes mistakenly, naively give its loyalty to the wrong kind of groups or people, just to have the connection. And finally, eventually got accepted by its own pack. And it realized, it chose that it's no longer a needed thing. Like, it got its validation, and it realized that whatever they had with the cat and with the other parts of this character is where it belongs. And it no longer needs the validation and the acceptance from that kind of shallow group. And it became a much deeper, whole, complex group of a soul or a character or whatever it was. And I really loved that it was such a lovely journey. And in my thoughts, everything had some deep meaning and the reason for it. Like, nothing was random in the whole story. And it didn't need any kind of conversation at all.
No.
And in the end, finding the peace together, they belong together. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it shows us that healing, growth, and love don't come from comfort, but from the messy, unpredictable process of learning to be with others, basically. And in the end, it's not about the house, which was the comfort for the cat. It's about what flows through us, resilience, connection, what's really important, and the courage to let go of all things.
Yeah. I don't know. how the idea came, but they managed to illustrate it very precisely.
Yes, I think so. So you would like to add anything else?
Who hasn't seen this animated film, we highly recommend it, and have a think about it. What is it that you relate to in the story? Which character maybe you are relating to more, or the whole journey if you experienced it yourself? And that's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, I would add as an extra that everybody can interpret it in their own way. It's perfect art. So if for nothing else, watch for that and see what it gives you.
Yes, we wanted to share our own perspectives. And that's art, as you mentioned. Everyone can see anything into it. And the point is where it touches you and what it means to you and how it maybe helps you to see things about yourself and the world. That's what matters.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Vicky.
Thanks.
See you guys next time. Thank you for watching our short. Bye.
Bye.